Hello there. Hi. My name is Tristan Ettleman. This is a podcast, the very first episode of a podcast called Butterfly Effect. Who am I? Well, I'm a dude. I'm a writer, and I'm a talker. And so, that's why I have a podcast, like everybody else out there. Basically, what is Butterfly Effect? This very first episode is going to be about that. Just explaining the show, trying to get some hype going, get those people subscribing, following, tweeting, trending about the podcast. Nothing's going to be trending about this. But basically trying to explain things so I don't have to cram it in with my first interview. And yeah, what is this show? I interview people. That's basically the whole show. It's just about a podcast, all about interviewing people. I know it's very original. And I know my access isn't very high at this point, but I've got so many great people in the can already and in the works. Been talking to some cool people. Some people I'm very excited about. The ones I've already done, very excited about as well. Just trying to say I'm excited about everything, about any person I can talk to, basically. But what kind of people am I generally interviewing? Well, they're people that I think are cool, and that's very vague, but it's basically people that create. I hate the term content creators, but that is probably a phrase that could be used. Creators of content, creators of art of some kind, and that's also a very vague word. But where did that idea come from? Well, it's not original, as I implied earlier, but very specifically, I started listening to WTF, Mark Maron's amazing podcast, about a year and a half ago, which is relatively recently in the context of that show. And I was like, I would like to do that. That sounds awesome. That's where I need to go in my life right now, I guess. And so I started reaching out to people. And I'm very unashamedly inspired by that podcast. So it's very similar format. Basically, it's an hour long, talk to people, and try to get to the root of what caused the creations that these people made. So that's where the name Butterfly Effect comes from. It's like basically a chaos theory concept, I guess. It's just like an idea. It's just a term to refer to like basically the idea of like a butterfly flaps its wings in Mexico and starts a tornado in Kansas or whatever. Just that something very small can cause something very momentous and big and important. And so that's kind of the idea, is getting to the root of people and figuring out how that all came about. And so that doesn't mean that every episode is going to be like, tell me about your childhood tragedies that made you the tortured artist you are today. No, a lot of the shows I've recorded so far, actually, we don't go super in depth into childhood or something like that, but it is about just the lives and careers and where they are now, and it varies, how that story is told depending on the person, of course. So that's the basic premise of the show. So basically, my guests are tornadoes. Yes, is what the idea of Butterfly Effect is. But of great content and God, I just used the word. I use the word because I hear it and I hate it. Great creations, let's say. And some butterfly somewhere in their life flapped its wings into their ears or whatever. I don't know. And then those tornadoes got formed. So they're good tornadoes. There's only good kind of tornadoes, and so that's why I want to talk to the people I've had. But I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, which is not a place people willingly go. I believe I was brought here with a bag on my head and zip ties around my wrists. That's not true at all. That's terrifying, and implies something weird, I think. But no, it's just not a place that people pass through a whole lot, especially the kind of people I want to talk to. So I do the interviews over Skype. So what that means is that expect not always the best audio quality, which is a really ballsy thing to say for an audio podcast. But I can't, control everything. I'm not in a studio or anything. I'm doing this out of my bedroom and wherever my guests happen to be. So I'm going to try to do my best to make it good, but be aware that it is over Skype, so people are going to sound a little different, and it is going to have some technical issues along the way. But beyond that, the actual, conversations that are able to be had over Skype, I've found that I've had no issues with being able to have great conversations. And in fact, I'm very excited about the conversations that I already have had and that I will be having in the future. Because even though generally people, connect more when they're in person, I think I've been able to do very well, and so my guests, with basically talking over the phone, So I think it is a good medium to do Skype, and I think it worked out, and it's working out. So what I'm saying is, get off my back. It's gonna be Skype. I know. I'm sorry. It's less than ideal, but it's like the only way I can talk to these people and these great people that I've talked to, and will continue to talk to. And on the part of the guests as well, they do very well with being some weird dude that just emailed them randomly. Because I started working on this. This podcast is, fingers crossed, going up Monday, January 4th. And I started trying to get guests for the show in September. And that's laying on the table. I've got like 10. So it took me a long time. And believe me, I was trying every week. And I'm still trying every week. I haven't been over the holidays. But to get guests, and so it took me a while, and I wanted to have some in the can so that I could piece the show out and keep it going. I don't want to take breaks necessarily, but we don't know what the future holds. I just want to keep a continuous stream of content, there it is again, going for whoever happens to be listening. So what that means, so where are you going to get this content? Well, if you're listening to this, you got somehow. Let me lay down all the things for you here, all right? ButterflyEffectPod.com. That is the website. That's the website. That's the hub. Episodes will go up there, direct downloads. But even from there, you can get to links to Facebook, Butterfly Effect Podcast on Facebook page. You can get to the YouTube, which is Butterfly Effect Podcast, I think. And then Twitter, which is at Butterfly Effect Pod. I know that. So, follow those channels. Those are all good channels to go through. If you're listening to this on YouTube, then you already know about it somehow. Probably from me personally. But also, you can follow me on Twitter at Ettletod, Ettletod, ETTLETODD. That's my personal Twitter, where things will probably be much more up to date, and you can also just experience me ramble and give random opinions on things. So those are all the channels. It'll be on iTunes if you're listening on iTunes. Hopefully on January 4th. I wouldn't have my fingers crossed for that. But again, this is so weird. You're in some other space and time right now. I don't know what you're doing. So you might be listening on iTunes. Who knows? And then from there, hopefully proliferate out to the various podcast services and whatever. But basically, I'm targeting iTunes and direct download and YouTube. So in one of those places, you're listening to this. So that's good. So idea is every Monday. So next week, we're going to have a show. That is going to be the actual show. And this is a very short one, just as an explanation of the show. But let me put out a call to you, I guess, is the phrasing I can use here, to really have you help me out. That's my phone. It's the phone making noise. Because I only know what I know, so I'm trying to get cool people that I think are cool. But that doesn't mean that there aren't a million more cool people, and even people that I might be familiar with, but it never popped in my head of like, oh, I should try to get them. I'm not trying to tell you to go get, be like, suggest, hey, go get Brad Pitt. Yeah, no, obviously not. That's, not people that I can get on the show. But I do want you to tweet at those various, or like, or whatever the fuck you do on social media to let me know what you want. Who do you want me to talk to on those? Tweet at me on at Ettletod. That's probably where I'll see it. But if you tweet at the podcast or comment on the Facebook page or whatever, I'll probably see it there too. And actually, where I'll definitely see it is if you email me at trettleman@gmail.com. That's TRETTLEMAN gmail.com. And that's obviously my name, Tristan Ettleman. I said that earlier, but I really want to pound that in because I have a brand to maintain, Tristan Ettleman. So I'm just going to throw in Tristan Ettleman every once in a while, and so that way you'll just know Tristan Ettleman, and then when you see Tristan Ettleman again, you'll be like, oh, I like Tristan Ettleman. I know Tristan Ettleman somehow. So Tristan Ettleman is my name again, and that's just my brand, Tristan Ettleman. But yes, if you email me, let me repeat that again, TRETTLEMAN @gmail.com. You send me those suggestions. Be like, hey, you should interview this person. Mostly, right now it's like internet people, but not necessarily. I've got people that are, not necessarily like super entrenched in the internet world in the works, and I have no like real restrictions of who I want to talk to beyond like I don't want to talk to like. I mean, I'll talk to Joe Blow on the street, but not for the podcast. But people that create something, and that's basically the only caveat that I ask for when you suggest people I should talk to. And on that end, if you personally are some kind of creator and you're somehow listening to this and you want to be talked to, you want to talk with me for some reason, you email that email as well. And if you represent someone or if you know someone more personally, rather than just like a random suggestion, then send emails my way too, because I just want people. I need people, guys. I need to talk to people, and believe me, I got a whole list of people I'm working on, and hopefully the launching the show will make people a little more receptive, because it is hard to be like, hey, I'm a dude, I have no website yet and nothing to show for it, you want to talk to me on Skype? And that's why I'm so glad the people that have talked to me so far did, because there are very gracious people, very nice people to take time out of their busy lives to talk to just some random kid, because I am a child in many ways, to take the time of their day to talk to me with no proven anything. It's very nice of them, and so I'm very eternally grateful to this first batch of people and anyone that ever talks to me in the future. So again, in summation, let's get down to for the bulk of what this episode is about. Butterfly Effect is the name of the thing you're listening to. I'm Tristan Ettleman. That's my brand, of course. You got to remember that. Like that Facebook page, Butterfly Effect Podcast. Follow that Twitter @Butterfly Effect Pod. Go to that YouTube. Subscribe to it, Butterfly Effect Podcast. Follow me on Twitter @EttleTodd. Email me at trettleman@gmail.com if you've got some Trettleman, as we say in the biz. I don't know what that means. If you got some suggestions for people I should talk to, or if you want to talk to me on this show for some reason, if you're some kind of creator. I would appreciate any and all support you have in distributing this out to your friends and family and loved ones and your enemies, frankly. If you're like, hey, I hate you, but there's this cool podcast that I just started. Because let me give you just a little breakdown of who the hell I am. Because most people that start podcasts have something else going on, and I'm not. I mean, I'm a dude. I am relatively young. I am 19 years old. I go to college at Arizona State University. I'm a journalism major, so I write things. And I've worked for a while in the video game journalism industry, I guess. From when I was like 15 or 16, I was doing like little written reviews, but I was doing some videos and stuff like that for a YouTube channel called CJR Undertow, which is sadly not there anymore, but it was a part of a larger thing called Classic Game Room, which is still there. And so I did stuff for them. I wrote reviews, and I did comic video reviews, and I did video game reviews. So that is to say, reviews of video games that were captured on video. And I did that for a while, and I was paid for them. So that I guess I have been working in the industry since I was like 15 or 16, I suppose. And then I was doing that, and that was fun. And then I started writing for a website called invisiblegamer.net, which you should check out as well, even though things aren't always regular over there, but still some great content going up over there. And I wrote, news there, video game news, and I did a lot of features there. I just said news. I don't know why I was about to say news again. Did a lot of features there, and that was a very formative experience for me and still is, because I'm still technically there, and I'm still, if I have ideas, I write there, but it's very, very busy in my life right now. but I was able to get out a lot of great ideas there, and very welcoming people. And there's a few people that I've worked with there that are going to be on the show, hopefully. So that was what happened after that. And then I at the beginning of 2015, which was a year ago now, which is insane, I made a concerted effort to be like, I'm going to really, really work in this industry and try to be a freelancer. How did that turn out? Not super great, but I got some publishing credits. I got published at Polygon, a very great site, and I've been published twice at US Gamer, and also another great site. So I say I'm a freelance writer because I am a freelance writer. You know, you don't say I'm an aspiring freelance writer because you are one. And so in that vein, I'm not an aspiring podcast host. I am a podcast host. And I thought I'd just give some background as to who I am so you know where I'm coming from when I talk to some of these people in these interviews, because I am relatively young. I know that. I think I'm pretty mature. I sound pretty cool, right? And so, yeah. That's who I am. I like a lot of things. And so, obviously, I have that video game journalism background, whatever you want to call it, video game writing background. That's not who all my guests are at all. There's going to be some of those people, and I like talking to those people, but that's not going to be the end-all, be-all of this show. This isn't a gaming podcast. This is just a podcast about interviewing cool people. So if they happen to be in games writing or happen to be in the video game industry, that's great. And then, like I said, I have quite a few that are in this early batch, and hopefully in the future I'll have some more. But that's not what the show is technically about, so I want to branch out from that. And to that extent, I want to branch out from like internet type people. So, all right. This has gone on for a little while. So I'm going to wrap up here. I'm going to say it one more time. I really gotta pound it in because this is new and I want people to listen. And I've had stuff that's pretty popular. I got videos on CJ Undertow that had thousands of views. I don't know. I don't really know the number on the top of my head. But I've had things that have been viewed. But for the most part, the projects I undertake and the things I do don't get seen by a lot of people. And this isn't like to make you feel sorry for me or anything, but I really, through the course of just doing this, even this early batch of interviews, I've kind of discovered that this is the thing I want to do. And I don't know if that means as a real full-blown career or as a thing that I just want to have in my life at all times. But this is a thing that I really feel passionately about, and so I want this to be good. So I'm welcoming any and all suggestions. Again, to these things: Facebook, Butterfly Effect Podcast; YouTube, Butterfly Effect Podcast; Twitter, @ButterflyEffectPod. Follow me on Twitter at Ettleman, Todd. Almost forgot how to spell my own damn name. And then email me at trettleman, Ettleman, @gmail.com. And then share those things with everyone. And hopefully we can get the show listened to and get some really cool, great guests on here in the future beyond the ones that I already have. Speaking of guests that I already have, so format of the show is basically going to be, I already said the hour format of the interview, but I am also taking some inspiration from Mark Maron. There's going to just be a segment before the actual interview where I just kind of introduce who the guest is, how I came about them, what my thoughts of them are, or whatever, and some kind of context. Then the interview itself, then it'll end, and then I'll do a postmortem or of some sort at the end, and then introduce who the next guest next week will be. Just so because the interviews, I never was like, all right, hey, welcome to Butterfly Effect while my guest was there, because I wanted it to be as natural of a conversation as possible. And you'll hear that in a couple of them. They're like, are we recording? I'm like, yeah, we're just talking, which might sound like that's like kind of misleading or whatever, but I do let them know that I was recording, and just so that we could feel like natural and not like they're on the spot or anything. So that's why there's gonna be like different like little segments and why it's gonna be broken up. But in between those segments, you're gonna hear music from the wonderful Seth S. Scott, who you should follow on Twitter at SSSETZ. I'm going to make sure that's correct, because that would be real bad if I got that wrong. Yeah, no, that's right. I knew it was right, obviously. And that logo you're seeing, too, is wherever you're at, is also by Seth. And Seth is a real cool guy. You can follow him there and just support him in whatever he wants you to do for him. I don't know what he's got going on in the can, although I do have some ideas. But just support him and send good vibes his way, because he's a really nice man who did some really good work. And so that's the music you're going to be hearing. That's the logo you're going to be seeing. You're not going to be hearing any logos. And so yes, that's it. That's the summation. Next week, we have my very first guest, who I was very glad. He was the first one to say, sure, I'll do it, and also, is therefore going to be the first episode. Josh Rubin, who is a very, very nice man. We had a great conversation. I was very nervous because of the first one I had done. But he was real cool, real down to earth. You will probably know him from College Humor. He was a writer and performer, I guess an actor, there for quite a while. And so we talk about how he got there and what he's doing now. He was in an episode of Pokemon, weirdly enough, and I asked him, like, hey, is that real? And he'll tell the story there. So tune in next week for Josh Rubin. And I'll see you then. I'll leave now. This is a short episode technically, but it's still very long if you're just listening to me ramble. So thank you for listening. Tell all your friends about it. Butterfly Effect Pod. What should I do for a cool sign off? I don't know. Hey there. Hi. Sorry to ruin the great music that Seth did already, but of course I would get something wrong in the first episode. That's just how it goes for me. Twitter for the podcast is not Butterfly Effect Pod, it's Butterfly Pod. I forgot about how Twitter doesn't let you have usernames that are very long at all. So that's the correction. Butterfly Pod. @Butterfly Pod. Thank you for listening. I'm going to go to sleep.